we were suffering technical issues, but we are back. So, welcome to Manifestation Monday. My name is Mona, and this is Deep Queen Beauty. We do Manifestation Mondays every Monday at 7 o'clock. And last Monday, I started reading The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I got through to the second agreement. Don't take anything personally. And I'm going to be finishing up the book this week. So let's get it started. A Practical Guide to Personal Freedom, a Toltec Wisdom book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Hey, hey, hey. All right, I'm going to go over the four agreements before I continue and leave off where I left off last week. The four agreements. 1. Be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. 2. Don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. 3. Don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. With just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life. And 4, always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you're healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstance, simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. All right. So, about to continue where we left off. We already did be impeccable with your word and don't take anything personally. The next agreement, chapter 4, is the third agreement. Don't make assumptions. All right. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. We have the tendency to make assumptions about everything. The problem with making assumptions is that we believe they are the truth. We could swear they are real. We make assumptions about what others are doing or thinking. We take it personally. Then we blame them and react with emotional poison with our word. That is why whenever we make assumptions, we're asking for problems. We make an assumption, we misunderstand, we take it personally, and we end up creating a whole big drama for nothing. All the sadness and drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. Take a moment to consider the truth of this statement. All right, so I'm going to say the statement again. All the sadness and drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. Take a moment to consider the truth of this statement. The whole war of control between humans is about making assumptions and taking things personally. Our whole dream of hell is based on that. Okay. We create a lot of emotional poison just by making assumptions and taking it personally, because usually we start gossiping about our assumptions. Remember, gossiping is the way we communicate to each other in the dream of hell and transfer poison to one another. Because we are afraid to ask for clarification, we make assumptions and believe we are right about the assumptions. Then we defend our assumptions and try to make someone else wrong. That ain't true. I don't know what is. And he just explained. Yo, he real good, because he just explained just the whole like steps of just making assumptions. He says, remember, gossiping is the way we communicate to each other in the dream of hell and transfer poison to one another. Because we are afraid to ask for clarification, we make assumptions and believe we are right about the assumptions. Then we defend our assumptions and try to make someone else wrong. It is always better to ask questions than to make an assumption, because assumptions set us up for suffering. The big matote in the human mind creates a lot of chaos, which causes us to misinterpret everything and misunderstand everything. We only see what we want to see and hear what we want to hear. We don't perceive things the way they are. We have the habit of dreaming with no basis in reality. We literally dream things up in our imaginations. Because we don't understand something, we make an assumption about the meaning, and when the truth comes out, the bubble of our dream pops, and we find out it was not what we thought at all. That's true. An example, you are walking in a mall and you see a person you like. That person turns to you and smiles and then walks away. You make a lot of assumptions just because of this one experience. With these assumptions, you create a whole fantasy, and you really want to believe this fantasy and make it real. A whole dream begins to form just from your assumptions, and you can believe, oh, this person really likes me. In your mind, a whole relationship begins from that. Maybe you even get married in this fantasy land, but the fantasy is in your mind and your personal dream. That just remind me of so many like shows or movies where they just veer off into the person's mind and they literally create a whole fantasy and then it'll go back to reality. Like that real life happens. Like that's crazy. Making assumptions in our relationships is really asking for problems. Often we make the assumption that our partners know what we think and that we don't have to say what we want. We assume they're going to do what we want because they know us so well. If they don't do what we assume they should do, we feel so hurt and say, you should have known. Another example, you decide to get married and you make the assumptions that your partner sees marriage the same way that you do. Then you live together and find out this is not true. This creates a lot of conflict, but you still don't try to clarify your feelings about marriage. The husband comes home from work and the wife is mad, and the husband doesn't know why. Maybe it's because the wife made an assumption. Without telling him what she wants, she makes an assumption that he knows her so well that he knows what she wants as if he can read her mind. She gets so upset because he fails to meet her expectations. Making assumptions in relationships leads to a lot of fights, a lot of difficulties, a lot of misunderstandings with people we supposedly love. In any kind of relationship, we can make the assumption that others know what we think and we don't have to say what we want. They're going to do what we want because they know us so well. If they don't do what we want, what we assume they should do, we feel hurt and think, how could you do that? You should know. Again, we make the assumption that the other person knows what we want. A whole drama is created because we make this assumption and then put more assumptions on top of it. It is very interesting how the human mind works. We have the need to justify everything, to explain and understand everything in order to feel safe. You have millions of questions that need answers, but there are so many things that the reasoning mind cannot explain. It is not important if the answer is correct, just the answer itself makes us feel safe. This is why we make assumptions. If others tell us something, we make assumptions, and if they don't tell us something, we make assumptions to fill our need to know and to replace the need to communicate. This is why communication is very important. Even if we hear something that we don't understand, we make assumptions about what it means and then believe the assumptions instead of asking again, because some people think asking questions like make you dumb. Like, no. If anything, you're wanting to understand. Like, and there's absolutely nothing with understanding, overstanding, understand. Like, there's no wrong type of standing. Like, as long as you trying, like, which is why it's okay to ask questions. It is okay to ask questions, and people appreciate the questions. I know I do. I know I do. All right, these assumptions are made so fast and unconsciously most of the time because we have agreements to communicate this way. We have agreed that it's not safe to ask questions. We have agreed that if people love us, they should know what we want or how we feel. When we believe something, we assume we are right about it to the point that we will destroy relationships in order to defend our position. We make the assumption that everyone sees life the way we do. We assume that others think the way we think, feel the way we feel, judge the way we judge, and abuse the way we abuse. And this is why we have a fear of being ourselves around others. Wow. Because we think everyone else will judge us, victimize us, abuse us, and blame us as we do ourselves. So even before others have a chance to reject us, we have already rejected ourselves. That is the way the human mind works. We also make assumptions, and it's okay to be human too. Like, it's just learning through it. When they say human, they mean everybody going through it. We also make assumptions about ourselves, and this creates a lot of inner conflict. I think I'm able to do this. You make this assumption. For instance, then you discover you aren't able to do it. You overestimate or underestimate yourself because you haven't taken the time to ask yourself questions and to answer them. Perhaps you need to gather more facts about a particular situation. Or maybe you need to stop lying to yourself about what you truly want. Often when you go into a relationship with someone you like, you have to justify why you like that person. You only see what you want to see, and you deny there are things you don't like about the person. You lie to yourself just to make others right, to make yourself right. Then you make assumptions, and one of the assumptions is, my love will change this person. But this is not true. Your love will not change anybody. If others change, it's because they want to change and not because you can change them. Then something happens between the two of you and you get hurt. Suddenly see what you didn't want to see before, only now it is amplified by your emotional poison. Now you have to justify your emotional pain and blame them for your choices. We don't need to justify love. It is there or not there. Real love is accepting other people the way they are without trying to change them. If we try to change them, this means we really don't like them. Of course, if you decide to live with someone, if you make that agreement, it is always better to make that agreement with someone who is exactly the way you want him or her to be. Find someone whom you don't have to change at all. It is much easier to find someone who is already the way you want him or her to be instead of trying to change that person. Also, that person must love you just the way you are, so he or she doesn't have to change you at all. If others feel that they have to change you, that means they really don't love you or just the way you are. Love you just the way you are. So why be with someone if you're not the way he or she wants you to be? We have to be what we are, so we don't have to present a false image. If you love me the way I am, okay, take me. If you love me the way I am, okay. If you don't love me the way I am, okay, bye-bye. Find someone else. He is funny. Hold up. I gotta go back. We have to be what we are so we don't have to present a false image. If you love me the way I am, okay, take me. If you don't love me the way I am, okay, bye-bye. Find someone else. It may sound harsh, but this kind of communication means the personal agreements we make with others are clear and impeccable. Just imagine the day that you stop making assumptions with your partner and eventually with everyone else in your life. Your way of communicating will change completely. And your relationships will no longer suffer from conflicts created by mistaken assumptions. The way to keep yourself from making assumptions is to ask questions. Make sure the communication is clear. If you don't understand, ask. Have the courage to ask questions until you are clear as you can be, and even then, do not assume you know all there is to know about a given situation. Once you hear the answer, you will not have to make assumptions because you will know the truth. That is very true. I feel like I've never really been a person really scared to ask questions, for real. I'm always researching something. For real. When people know me, they know I'm a research something. Like that's very much true. And I don't just take what other people tell me as facts. That's definitely an important quality because sometimes I feel like we take a lot of what other people say is truth without like investigating or asking questions, like actually finding out. Also find your voice to ask for what you want. Everybody has the right to tell you no or yes, but you always have the right to ask. Likewise, everybody has the right to ask you, and you have the right to say yes or no. If you don't understand something, it is better for you to ask and be clear instead of making an assumption. The day you stop making assumptions, you will communicate cleanly and clearly, free of emotional poison. Without making assumptions, your word becomes impeccable. With clear communication, all your relationships will change, not only with your partner, but with everyone else. You won't need to make assumptions because everything becomes so clear. This is what I want. This is what you want. If we communicate in this way, our word becomes impeccable. If all humans would communicate in this way, with impeccability of the word, there would be no wars, no violence, no misunderstandings. All human problems would be resolved if we could just have good, clear communication. That is very true. This, then, is the third agreement. Don't make assumptions. Just saying this sounds easy, but I understand that it is difficult to do. It is difficult because we so often do exactly the opposite. We have all these habits and routines that we are not even aware of. Becoming aware of these habits and understanding the importance of this agreement is the first step. But understanding its importance is not enough. Information or an idea is merely the seed in your mind. What will really make the difference is action. Taking the action over and over again strengthens your will, nurtures a seed, and establishes a solid foundation for the new habit to grow. It's so funny because, like, I'm at a point in my life where I'm starting to recognize just how much we have in common with plants, just like in life, and just using a lot of tree and plant analogies. And the fact that he said this, like, is very much true. I'm gonna do that paragraph again for y'all. Taking the action over and over again strengthens your will, nurtures the seed, and establishes a solid foundation for the new habit to grow. After many repetitions, these new agreements will become a second nature, and you'll see how the magic of your word transforms you from a black magician into a white magician. A white magician uses the word for creation, giving, sharing, and loving. By making this one agreement a habit, your whole life will be completely transformed. When you transform your whole dream, magic just happens in your life. What you need comes to you easily because spirit moves freely through you. This is the mastery of intent, the mastery of spirit, the mastery of love, the mastery of gratitude, and the mastery of life. This is the goal of the Toltec. This is the path to personal freedom. That is true. That is true. That is very much true. That is it's crazy because I was just talking to my fiance just about the fact that we are literally here to master ourselves, like master everything. You should be able to master all of your chakras, your root chakra. You should be able to control your sexual urges. If you think about your heart chakra, you have to be, clear in how you love and also how you protect your heart, your third eye. Definitely got to master that. Like, the chakras in your gut, you have to master those. Like, it's so crazy. But we are definitely here to master ourselves. It's funny because I was just watching The Matrix with my client and her boyfriend. And then it was the end of the movie when he finally mastered himself and the understanding that everything is, and he saw the code, he saw the matrix, and he stopped the bullets. Like, and that's literally this last paragraph. When you transform your whole dream, magic just happens in your life. What you need comes to you easily because spirit moves freely through you. This is the mastery of intent, the mastery of spirit, the mastery of love, the mastery of gratitude, and the mastery of life. This is the goal of the Toltec. This is the path to personal freedom. And that is the end of chapter 4. That one was dope. Chapter 5, the fourth agreement. Always do your best. There is just one more agreement, but it's the one that allows the other 3 to become deeply ingrained habits. The fourth agreement is about the action of the first 3. Always do your best. Under any circumstance, always do your best. No more and no less. But keep in mind that your best is never going to be the same from one moment to the next. Everything is alive and changing all the time. So your best will sometimes be high quality and other times it will not be as good. When you wake up refreshed and energized in the morning, your best will be better than what you are tired at night. Your best will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick or sober as opposed to drunk. Your best will depend on whether you are feeling wonderful and happy or upset, angry, or jealous. In everyday moods, your best can change from one moment to another, from 1 hour to the next, from one day to another. Your best will also change over time. As you build the habit of the 4 new agreements, your best will become better than it used to be. Regardless of the quality, keep doing your best. No more and no less than your best. If you try too hard to do more than your best, you will spend more energy than is needed, and in the end, your best will not be enough. When you overdo, you deplete your body and go against yourself, and it will take you longer to accomplish your goal. But if you do less than your best, you subject yourself to frustrations, self-judgment, guilt, and regret. That is so true. I was just talking about how just comparing us and our bodies to a car. Like let's say your best is driving like you cruising, you doing a 70, but if you speeding all the time, you messing your brakes up, you messing your car, you running out of gas more faster than everybody else. It don't become worth it in the end, because then now you got this nice car, but now this nice car is all run down because you didn't drive the heck out of it. Like you got to take care of yourself. So that is that is very true. Just do your best in any circumstance in your life. It doesn't matter if you're sick or tired. If you always do your best, there is no way you can judge yourself. And if you don't judge yourself, there is no way you're going to suffer from guilt, blame, and self-punishment. By always doing your best, you will break a big spell that you've been under. There was a man who wanted to transcend his suffering, so he went to a Buddhist temple to find a master to help him. He went to the master and asked, "Master, if I meditate 4 hours a day, how long would it take me to transcend?" The master looked at him and said, "If you meditate 4 hours a day, perhaps you will transcend in 10 years. Thinking he could do better, the man then said, "Oh, master, what if I meditated 8 hours a day? How long will it take me to transcend?" The master looked at him and said, "If you meditate 8 hours a day, perhaps you will transcend in 20 years. But why will it take me longer if I meditate more?" the man asked. The master replied, "You are not here to sacrifice your joy or your life. You are here to live, to be happy, and to love. If you can do your best in 2 hours of meditation, but you spend 8 hours instead, you will only grow tired, miss the point, and you won't enjoy your life. Do your best, and perhaps you will learn that no matter how long you meditate, you can live, love, and be happy." Doing your best, you are going to live your life intensely. You are going to be productive. You are going to be good to yourself because you will be giving yourself to your family, to your community, to everything. But it's the action that is going to make you feel intensely happy. When you always do your best, you take action. Doing your best is taking the action because you love it, not because you're expecting a reward. Most people do exactly the opposite. They only take action when they expect a reward, and they don't enjoy the action. And that's the reason why they won't do their best, or why they don't do their best. For example, most people go to work every day just thinking of payday, and the money they will work from, I'm sorry, let me back up. For example, hold on, let me drink some tea. Oh, that's good. All right. For example, most people go to work every day just thinking of payday and the money they will get from the work they are doing. They can hardly wait for Friday or Saturday, whatever day they receive their money, and can take their time off. They are working for the reward, and as a result, they resist work. They try to avoid the action, and it becomes more difficult, and they don't do their best. They work so hard all week long, suffering the work, suffering the action, not because they like to, because they feel they have to. They have to work because they have to pay the rent, because they have to support their family. They have all that frustration, and when they do receive their money, they are unhappy. They have 2 days to rest and to do what they want to do, and what do? They try to escape. They get drunk because they don't like themselves. They don't like their life. There are many ways that we hurt ourselves when we don't like who we are. On the other hand, if you take action just for the sake of doing it without expecting a reward, you will find that you enjoy every action you do. Rewards will come, but you are not attached to the reward. You can even get more than you would have imagined for yourself without expecting a reward. If we like what we do, if we always do our best, then we are really enjoying life. We are having fun. We don't get bored. We don't have frustrations. That is very much true. I love that. When you do your best, you don't give the judge the opportunity to find you guilty or to blame you. If you have done your best and the judge tries to judge you according to your book of law, you've got the answer. I've did my best. There are no regrets. That is why we always do our best. It is not an easy agreement to keep, but this agreement is really going to set you free. When you do your best, you learn to accept yourself, but you have to be aware and learn from your mistakes. Learning from your mistakes mean you practice. Look honestly at the results and keep practicing. This increases your awareness. Doing your best really doesn't feel like work because you enjoy whatever you're doing. You know you're doing your best when you're enjoying the action or doing it in a way that you will not have negative repercussions for you. You do your best because you want to do it, not because you have to do it, not because you're trying to please the judge, and not because you're trying to please other people. If you take action because you have to, then there is no way you're going to do your best. Then it is better not to do it. Nor no, you do your best because doing your best at all times make you so happy. When you're doing your best just for the pleasure of doing it, you are taking action because you enjoy the action. Action is about living fully. Inaction is a way that we deny life. Inaction is sitting in front of the television every day for years because you are afraid to be alive and to take the risk of expressing what you are. Expressing what you are is taking action. You can have many great ideas in your head, but what makes a difference is the action. Without action upon an idea, there will be no manifestation, no results, and no reward. A good example of this comes from the story about Forrest Gump. That's true. When I read this at first, I'm like, I gotta watch that again. He didn't have great ideas, but he took action. He was happy because he always did his best at whatever he did. He was richly rewarded without expecting any reward at all. Taking action is being alive. It's taking the risk to go out and express your dream. This is different than imposing your dream on someone else because everyone has a right to express his or her dream. That is very much true. That's why I always encourage people to do a business or have a side hustle. Like do something that you love. Like even if you're not doing it for money, like if you like doing it, just do it. Like, and then eventually you're gonna like doing that so much, it'll end up becoming your business because that's all you're doing. And people are appreciating the work that you're putting in, and really accepting that. Like, that's why it's really important to put time into yourself. Really start doing and enjoying what you like. You feel me? Shoot, no matter what it is, whether it's dancing, whether it's singing, whether it's being active, whatever, if it's you in fashion, modeling, whatever, if you love it, do it. Shoot, teaching, you know. Doing your best is a great habit to have. I do my best in everything I do and feel. Doing my best has become a ritual in my life because I made the choice to make it a ritual. It's a belief like any other belief that I choose. I make everything a ritual and I always do my best. Taking a shower is a ritual for me, and with that action, I tell my body how much I love it. I feel and enjoy the water on my body. I do my best to fulfill the needs of my body. I do my best to give my body and to receive what my body gives to me. In India, they perform a ritual called puja. In this ritual, they take idols that represent God in many different forms and bathe them, feed them, and give them their love. They even chant mantras to these idols. The idol itself is not important. What is important is the way they perform the ritual, the way they say, I love you, God. God is life. God is life in action. The best way to say, I love you, God, is to live your life doing your best. The best way to say, thank you, God, is by letting go of the past and living in the present moment, right here and right now. That's true. That's very much true. You can definitely tell who's in tune with what people call God, just by the way somebody lives their life. Whatever life takes away from you, let it go. When you surrender and let go of the past, you allow yourself to be fully alive in the moment. Letting go of the past means you can enjoy the dream that is happening right now. If you live in a past dream, you don't enjoy what is happening right now because you will always wish it to be different than it is. There is no time to miss anyone or anything because you are alive. Not enjoying what is happening right now is living in the past and being only half alive. This leads to self-pity, suffering, and tears. Yeah. You are born with the right to be happy. You are born with the right to love, to enjoy, and to share your love. You are alive, so take So take your life and enjoy it. Don't resist life passing through you, because that is God passing through you. Just your existence proves the existence of God. Your existence proves that your existence proves the existence of life and energy. That's very true. That is very much true. That's why we're telling people, y'all better stop playing. Like, with stuff like nature, how do people live? What, okay, even as a kid, what do they say is the main things that you need to survive? Water, food, shelter. You need air. Like, all this stuff is natural. And where all this stuff come from? How y'all build your houses? Y'all use wood. How you breathe? The trees. What are you eating? The healthy stuff that you're supposed to eating is natural. So it's like, if nature ain't God, and you are literally a representation of nature physically, living, then what are you? That's why you gotta take the sea moss, get all the minerals, just stay healthy. I'm telling you, you really gonna activate your God powers if you actually are being conscious. Just what you put in your body, like detoxing. You need to detox at least, or I say fast, at least once a month. To be honest with you, even if it's for a day, for real, it's very much important. Let's get back to it. We don't need to know or prove anything. Just to take a risk and enjoy your life is all that matters. Say no when you want to say no, and say yes when you want to say yes. You have the right to be you. You can only be you when you're doing your best. When you don't do your best, you are denying yourself the right to be you. That's a seed that you should really nurture in your mind. You don't need knowledge or great philosophical concepts. You don't need the acceptance of others. You express your own divinity by being alive and by loving yourself and others. It is an expression of God to say, hey, I love you. The first 3 agreements will only work if you do your best. Don't expect that you will always be able to be impeccable with your word. Your routine habits are too strong and firmly rooted in your mind, but you can do your best. Don't expect that you will never take anything personally. Just do your best. Don't expect that you will never make another assumption, but you can certainly do your best. By doing your best, the habits of misusing your word, taking that, my bad, I'm sorry, y'all. But that's so true. That's why he said just practice. Of mastery is not anything, it's practicing. That's why they always talking about, like, when shoot, the person, I don't know the quote verbatim, but it's saying, some of the best shooters, they didn't probably missed more than they didn't made. But guess what? The only way Stephen Curry got to the point where he could hit so many shots, he had to miss a whole bunch of them. Like, for real, like, you have to continue to practice. Like, that's why it's really good to just nurture your gifts. It's good as a child to nurture your gifts, but sometimes people are repressed as children, so they don't really get to really explore a lot of the stuff that they love. But the good thing about with being an adult, you have all of the time, you have the energy, you have the will to do. So that's definitely a beautiful thing. I love that. Where did I leave off? All right, don't expect that you will never make another assumption, but you can certainly do your best. By doing your best, the habits of misusing your word, taking things personally, and making assumptions will become weaker and less frequent with time. You don't need to judge yourself, feel guilty, or punish yourself if you cannot keep these agreements. If you're doing your best, you will feel good about yourself, even if you still make assumptions, still take things personally, and still are not being impeccable with your word. If you always do your best over and over again, you'll become a master of transformation. Practice makes the master. By doing your best, you become a master. Everything you have ever learned, you learn through repetition. You learn to write, to drive, and even to walk by repetition. You are a master of speaking your language because you practice. Action is what makes the difference. If you do your best in the search for personal freedom, in the search for self-love, You will discover that it's just a matter of time before you find what you are looking for. It's not about daydreaming or sitting for hours dreaming in meditation. You have to stand up and being human. You have to honor the man or woman that you are. Respect your body. Enjoy your body. Love your body. Feed, clean, and heal your body. Exercise and do what makes your body feel good. This is a puha to your body, and that is a communion between you and God. That's true. I don't remember. I might have mentioned it on another Manifestation Monday, but when people are, talking about altars, and he was just talking about people worshiping, different deities or God. Like, when you become like a real expression of God, is really recognizing the fact that all of these gods are literally a manifestation of you, literally. So I was talking about having an altar to yourself, and your God power is really gonna activate then. For real, it's just loving yourself. All of these different pieces, like Orishas, gods, whatever, is manifestations of you. Even the people who believe in Jesus, shit, he said y'all are gods. Come on now, like it's definitely a beautiful thing just to come to that realization. So this is puha to your body, and that is a communion between you and God. You don't need to worship idols of the Virgin Mary, the Christ, or the Buddha. You can if you want to. If it feels good, do it. Your own body is a manifestation of God, and if you honor your body, everything will change for you. When you practice giving love to every part of your body, you plant seeds of love in your mind, and when they grow, you will love, honor, and respect your body immensely. Every action then becomes a ritual in which you are honoring God. After that, the next step is honoring God with every thought, every emotion, every belief, even what is right or wrong. Every thought becomes a communion with God, and you will live a dream without judgments, victimization, and free of the need to gossip and abuse yourself. When you honor these four agreements, together there is no way that you will live in hell. There is no way. If you are impeccable with your word, if you don't take anything personally, if you don't make assumptions, if you always do your best, then you're going to have a beautiful life. You are going to control your life 100%. The four agreements are a summary of the mastery of transformation, one of the masteries of the Toltec. You transform hell into heaven. The dream of the planet is transformed into your personal dream of heaven. The knowledge is there. It's just waiting for you to use it. The four agreements are there. You just need to adopt these agreements and respect their meaning and power. Just do your best. Just do your best to honor these agreements. You can make this agreement today. I choose to honor the four agreements. It's so simple and logical that even a child can understand them. That's true. That's why I said, if your kids get to the point where when your kids get to the point when they can read chapter books, I definitely recommend this book, because just me, dealing with my own childhood trauma, just realizing how a lot of the stuff that happened to me as a child, I took it personally. But I didn't know as a child not to take everything personally. I didn't know as a child that a lot of people, old and young, are just projecting whatever it is that they've been through, or whatever it is, that they grew up around, or whatever it might be. So it's definitely important to be taught stuff like this young, to really, overstand, for sure. The four agreements is so simple and logical that even a child can understand them, but you must have a very strong will to keep these agreements. Why? Because wherever we go, we find that our path is full of obstacles. Everyone tries to sabotage our commitment to these new agreements, and everything around us is a setup for us to break them. The problem is all the other agreements that are a part of the dream of the planet. I'm going to say that again. The problem is all the other agreements that are part. The problem is all the other agreements that are a part of the dream of the planet. They are alive and they are very strong. Just think about it let's say every idea manifests into a type of energy. Whether it's a physical energy, whether if it's a thought, emotion, a TV show, a painting, a game, anything. Everything is literally manifesting. So even though you are living the dream and the manifestation that you set out, it's still gonna be other people taking stuff personally. It's still gonna be other people making assumptions. It's still gonna be other people seeing that you are becoming a better person and not gonna like that. Like how he was just talking about when you like put power into the God. A lot of the gods and orishas, they have power because of the energy we give to it. So just knowing that, what's all the energy that's been being put into like now? Like I've been noticing that mainstream has been bringing back a lot of toxic movies or TV shows, like bringing back the BGC, the Bad Girls Club, or coming back out with new movies like Final Destination. It's like, it's interesting just to see people fall back into some of the past things that were never really for the elevation of us as a people. Um, but it's also good seeing the people who recognize what's going on and are elevating. Like it's definitely a beautiful thing, but just being aware of that um, is one of the keys for sure. That's why you need. Let me round back. The problem is all the agreements that are a part of the dream of the planet. They are alive and they are very strong. That's why you need to be a great hunter, a great warrior who can defend these four agreements with your life. Your happiness, your freedom, your entire way of living depends on it. The warrior's goal is to transcend this world, to escape from this hell and never come back. As the Toltecs teach us, the reward is to transcend the human experience of suffering, to become the embodiment of God. That is a reward. And that's true. When he said that, that resonated with my soul because I'm like, I knew I was on the right path. It's just like a knowing. Like some people, like how some people say, like there's a difference between believing something and knowing something. Like there's just a knowing, um, you know, that's whether it's just there from the beginning for you or if it's activated by something you see, somebody you meet, a friend, a family member, it's it's definitely a beautiful thing. I really enjoy this book, y'all. We really need to use every bit of power we have to succeed in keeping these agreements. I didn't expect that I could do it at first. I have fallen many times, but I stood up and kept going. And I fell again, and I kept going. I didn't feel sorry for myself. There was no way that I felt sorry for myself. I said, if I fall, I am strong enough. I'm intelligent enough. I can do it. I stood up and kept going. That's true. I had got to a point in my life where I'm like, yo, if you went through something, that mean that you were strong enough to go through. Like you went through it, didn't you? So you were strong enough to go through it, and you have the will to still become better. So it's like when you think about a lot of even what you call obstacles in the past, when you see that you got over it, you be like, yo, in that moment, I was worrying or tripping about it, and it's like, for what? So there's really no need to really worry. I already know in the end everything good for me anyway. If I fall, I am strong enough. I'm intelligent enough. I can do it. I stood up and kept going. I fell and I kept going and going. And each time it became easier and easier. Yet in the beginning it was so hard, so difficult. So if you fall, do not judge. Do not give your judge the satisfaction of turning you into a victim. No, be tough with yourself. Stand up and make the agreement again. Okay, I broke my agreement to be impeccable with my word. I will start all over again. I'm going to keep the four agreements just for today. Today, I will be impeccable with my word. I will not take anything personally. I will not make any assumptions, and I'm going to do my best. If you break an agreement, begin again tomorrow and again the next day. It will be difficult at first, but each day it will become easier and easier. Until someday, you will discover that you are ruling your life with these four agreements, and you will be surprised at the way your life has been transformed. You don't need to be religious or to go to church every day. Your love and self respect are growing and growing. You can do it. If I did it, you can do it also. Do not be concerned about the future. Keep your attention on today and stay in the present moment. Just live one day at a time. Always do your best to keep these agreements, and soon it will be easy for you. Today is the beginning of a new dream. That's true. Sometimes I feel like people think that I might live like in La La Land sometimes, but it's like I really pride myself on not worrying about anything. Like, and just knowing that everything is going to be okay. No matter the situation, in the end, everything is going to be okay. Relax. Just relax. Um, and know everything is going to be okay. Like, seriously. Um, yeah. I'm telling you, life is a beautiful thing. Like he said, if you start appreciating just what you're doing, know that everything you're doing, like for me personally, it's healing, teaching people, improving. I have a daughter, teaching her, like just growing myself, my partner, you know, that's a beautiful thing. It's definitely a beautiful thing just to do what you love. Do not, reread that. Do not be concerned about the future. Keep your attention on today and stay in the present moment. Just live one day at a time. Always do your best to keep these agreements, and soon it will be easy for you. Today is the beginning of a new dream. Chapter 6, The Toltec Path to Freedom, Breaking Old Agreements. Everyone talks about freedom. All around the world, everyone talks about freedom. All around the world, different people, different races, different countries are fighting for freedom. But what is freedom? In America, we speak of living in a free country, but are we really free? Are we free to be who we really are? The answer is no, we are not free. True freedom has to do with the human spirit. It is a freedom to be who we really are. Who stops us from being free? We blame the government, we blame the weather, we blame our parents, we blame religion, we blame God. Who really stops us from being free? We stop ourselves. What does it really mean to be free? Sometimes we get married and we say that we lose our freedom. Then we get divorced and we are still not free. What stops us? Why can't we be ourselves? We have memories of long ago when we used to be free and we loved being free, but we have forgotten what freedom really means. If we see a child who is 2 or 3, perhaps 4 years old, we find a free human. Why is this human free? Because this human does whatever he or she wants to do. The human is completely wild, just like a flower, a tree, or an animal that has not been domesticated. Wild. And if we observe humans who are 2 years old, we find that most of the time these humans have a big smile on their face and they're having fun. They are exploring the world. They are not afraid to play. They are afraid when they are hurt, when they are hungry, when some of their needs are not met. But they don't worry about the past. They don't care about the future and only live in the very present moment. Very young children are not afraid to express what they feel. They are so loving that if they perceive love, they melt into love. They are not afraid to love at all. That is a description of a normal human being. As children, we are not afraid of the future or ashamed of the past. Our normal human tendency is to enjoy life, to play, to explore, to be happy, and to love. But what has happened with the adult human? Why are we so different? Why are we not wild? From the point of view of the victim, we can say that something sad happened to us. And from the point of view of a warrior, we can say that what happened to us is normal. What has happened is that we have the book of law, the big judge, and the victim who rule our lives. We are no longer free because the judge, the victim, and the belief system don't allow us to be who we really are. Once our minds have been programmed with all that garbage, we are no longer happy. The chain of training from human to human, from generation to generation, is perfectly normal in human society. You don't need to blame your parents for teaching you to be like them. What else could they teach you but what they know? They did the best they could, and if they abused you, it was due to their own domestication, their own fears, their own beliefs. They had no control over the programming they received, so they couldn't have behaved any differently. That's very much true. There is no need to blame your parents or anyone who abused you in your life, including yourself. That's where the forgiving people come from, to be honest, because when you understand that everybody is projecting, that's why you don't take anything personally. But when you do understand that everybody is projecting, it's when I'm very empathetic, so I can feel it. And normally a lot of that stems from just stuff that went on in their childhood, you know, or even recently. But like he said, it's just stacked up garbage. So yeah, it's some stuff that happened when they was a kid. Then some stuff happened when they was 18, 20 years old. Then some stuff happened when they was 22. Like, it becomes almost a revolving door. So there is just so much stuff that people have been through and haven't really dealt with. It just becomes projection. But you do have the ability to take control. They had no control over the programming they received, so they couldn't have behaved any differently. There is no need to blame your parents or anyone who abused you in your life, including yourself. But it is time to stop the abuse. It is time to free yourself of the tyranny of the judge by changing the foundation of your own agreements. It is time to be free from the role of the victim. The real you is still a little child. That's true. It's so funny. It's so funny because, like, I done got to the point where now when I see everybody, it's like I see them as a kid. Because it's like everybody literally project, their child's self, whether it is abused, whether it was love. Like, you can always see sometimes when, people, kid, comes out, but I just see a whole bunch of big ass kids. A whole bunch of big babies. That is that ain't a fact. Like, I'm telling you. Even when you look at like the babies and compare to the older people, it's like they the same. It's just funny, man. Life is something. The real you is still a little child who never grew up. Sometimes that little child comes out when you are having fun or playing, when you feel happy, when you are painting or writing poetry or playing the piano or expressing yourself in some way. These are the happiest moments of your life. When the real you comes out, when you don't care about the past and you don't worry about the future. You are childlike. But there are some things that changes, but there is something that changes all of that. We call them responsibilities. The judge says, wait a second, you are responsible, you have things to do, you have to work, you have to go to school, you have to earn a living. All these responsibilities come to our mind. Our face changes and becomes serious again. If you watch children when they are playing adults, you will see their little faces change. Let's pretend I'm a lawyer. I'm sorry. Let's pretend I'm a lawyer. Right away, their faces change. The adult face takes over. We go to court, and that is the face we see, and that is what we are. We are still children, but we have lost our freedom. Yo, I'm sorry, but this really did bring back just some childhood memories. That is the funniest thing in the world. Because if you think about it, that is so true. The freedom we are looking for is a freedom to be ourselves, to express ourselves. But if we look at our lives, we will see that most of the time we do things just to please others, just to be accepted by others, rather than living our lives to please ourselves. So much true. Don't live your life for nobody else. Don't do it. Don't live your life for nobody else. Do what makes you happy. Please, please. Love yourself. Love yourself. There's nothing wrong with pouring into yourself. Like, love yourself. The freedom we are looking for is a freedom to express ourselves, to be ourselves. But if we look at our lives, we will see that most of the time we do things just to please others, just to be accepted by others, rather than living our lives to please ourselves. This is what has happened to our freedom. And we see in our society and all the societies around the world that for every 1,000 people, 999 are completely domesticated. The worst part is that most of us are not even aware that we are not free. There is something inside that whispers to us that we are not free, but we do not understand what it is and why we are not free. The problem with most people is that they live their lives and never discover that the judge and the victim rule their mind, and therefore they don't have a chance to be free. The first step toward personal freedom is awareness. We need to be aware that we are not free in order to be free. We need to be aware of what the problem is in order to solve the problem. Awareness is always the first step because if you are not aware, there is nothing you can change. If you are not aware that your mind is full of wounds and emotional poison, you cannot begin to clean and heal the wounds, and you will continue to suffer. There is no reason to suffer. With awareness, you can rebel and say, "This is not enough. This is enough." I'm sorry, y'all. There is no reason to suffer. With awareness, you can rebel and say, "This is enough." You can look for a way to heal and transform your personal dream. The dream of the planet is just a dream. It is not even real. If you go into the dream and start challenging your beliefs, you will find that most of the beliefs that guided you into the wounded mind are not even true. You will find that you suffered all those years of drama for nothing. Why? Because the belief system that we put inside our mind is based on lies. That is why it is important for you to master your own dream. That is why the Toltecs became dream masters. Your life is the manifestation of your dream. It is an art. Man, I missed some times I was supposed to highlight, but man, he definitely speaking facts. That is why it is important for you to master your own dream. That is why the Toltecs became dream masters. Your life is a manifestation of your dream. It is an art. And you can change your life anytime if you aren't enjoying the dream. Dream masters create a masterpiece of life. They control the dream by making choices. Everything has consequences, and a dream master is aware of the consequences. To be Toltec is a way of life. It is a way of life where there are no leaders and no followers, where you have your own truth and live your own truth. A Toltec becomes wise, becomes wild, and becomes free again. There are three masteries that lead people to become Toltecs. First is the mastery of awareness. This is to be aware of who we really are, with all the possibilities. The second is a mastery of transformation, how to change, how to be free of domestication. The third is the mastery of intent. Intent from the Toltec point of view is that part of life that makes transformation of energy possible. It is the one living being that seamlessly encompasses all energy, or what we call God. Intent is life itself. It is unconditional love. The mastery of intent is, therefore, the mastery of love. Whew. Resonate. Like, when we talk about the Toltec path to freedom, we find that they have an entire map for breaking free of domestication. They compare the judge, the victim, and the belief system to a parasite that invades the human mind. From the Toltec point of view, all humans who are domesticated are sick. They are sick because there is a parasite that controls the mind and controls the brain. The food for the parasite is the negative emotions that come from fear. If we look at the description of a parasite, we find that a parasite is a living being who lives off of other living beings, sucking their energy without any useful contribution in return, and hurting their host little by little. The judge, the victim, and the belief system fit this description very well. Together they comprise a living being made of psychic or emotional energy, and that energy is alive. Of course it is not material energy, but neither are emotions material energy. Our dreams are not material energy either, but we know they exist. One function of the brain is to transform material energy into emotional energy. Our brain is a factory of the emotions, and we have said that the main function of the mind is to dream. The Toltecs believe that the parasite, the judge, the victim, and the belief system has control of your mind. It controls your personal dream. The parasite dreams through your mind and lives its life through your body. It survives on the emotions that come from fear and thrives on drama and suffering. Y'all, when I tell you, When I tell you, he not lying. This is 100% fact, especially when you make an effort to work on yourself. Because even when it comes to certain things like not gossiping, some people gossiping and are not aware of them even gossiping because they've been doing it so long. So even when you become a gossiping, when you become aware of your own gossiping, sometimes it make you look at yourself sideways. Like, one, why did I even want to do that? Like sometimes you, when he say don't make assumptions, we make a whole lot of assumptions with ourselves. You don't even, some people don't even take the time in to ask themselves why they do certain things, you know. Just going to the root. I'm telling you, he definitely telling the truth. It's a whole lot of parasites out here. And it's crazy because a lot of the mental parasites are literally manifested into physical parasites. A lot of people have parasites in their body and are not aware of it at all. I mean, some people do know that they have parasites, but I'm telling you, just really master yourself. I'm telling you, just going through the process, like every day, obviously, if you hear you going through the process of mastery, but yo, it's definitely a learning experience. It's a beautiful experience, I will say. We can declare a war against the parasite, a war against the judge and the victim, a war for our independence, a war for the right to use our own mind and our own brain. Hold up, I think I just skipped some stuff. Let me go back. Okay, the parasite dreams. The parasite dreams through your mind and lives its life through your body. It survives on the emotions that come from fear and thrives on drama and suffering. The freedom we seek is to use our own mind and body to live our own life instead of the life of the belief system. When we discover that the mind is controlled by the judge and the victim and the real us is in the corner, we have just two choices. One choice is just to keep living the way we are, to surrender to the judge and the victim, to keep living in the dream of the planet. A second choice is to do what we do as children when parents try to domesticate us. We can rebel and say, no. We can declare a war against the parasite, a war against the judge, a war against the victim, a war for our independence, a war for the right to use our own mind and our own brain. That's true. That's when people will be saying it's a war out here. Like, you know, just recognizing that you are literally the embodiment of a warrior. It's definitely true. Because at the end of the day, if you here, if you alive, you fighting. You definitely fighting. Whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally. But even though you are fighting, it becomes easier because you start to master. You become like Neo. Yo, that scene was on point. But for real, like it becomes so easy. Like you moving, you flowing like water. Like, yo, I gotta get back. Doing my martial arts because, yo, if you want to master just control in a physical form, I recommend doing martial arts because having that type of control of your body is a beautiful thing. It's literally art. When I look at martial arts, I look at it so much different than I think some people do see it as fighting. Like, it is, but it is literally art. Like, just some of the different movements, the different punching, just rolling, kicking. Like, it's art is literally circles, triangles, squares, you know, moving, flowing. Oh my goodness, it is a beautiful thing. All right. That is why in all the shamanic traditions in America, from Canada to Argentina, people call themselves warriors because they're in a war against the parasite in their mind. That is the real meaning of the warrior. The warrior is the one who rebels against the invasion of the parasite. The warrior rebels and declares a war. But to be a warrior doesn't mean we always win the war. We may win or we may lose, but we always do our best, and at least we can have a chance to be free again. Choosing this path gives us, at the very least, the dignity of rebellion and ensures that we will not be the helpless victim of our own whimsical emotions or the poisonous emotions of others. Even if we succumb to the enemy, the parasite, we will not be amongst those victims who will not fight back. Facts. Facts. Like, I'm telling you. When you read this book, I don't know. I'm sure it'll do the same thing for y'all, but this is my second time reading through. And, like, definitely just bringing back memories just of certain stuff that I just didn't tolerate as a kid. Like, I was definitely labeled as a militant. That's what they tried to call. Just the words that people try to put on people is the funniest thing in the world. Like, just calling people uh, militant, rebellious, whatever it may be. Man, stand on your own 2 feet. When they say 10 toes down, stand on your own 2 feet. Like, and don't let nobody shake how you feel. Especially if you know you're doing it for good. You're doing it for love. You're doing it because you see yourself being repressed and suppressed. You see other people being suppressed. You know, stand 10 toes down. Stand up. You know, say it with your chest. Facts. Where I leave out. The warrior is the one who rebels against the invasion of the parasite. The warrior rebels and declares a war. We may win or we may lose, but we always do our best, and at least we have a chance to be free again. Choosing this path gives us, at the very least, the dignity of rebellion, and ensures that we will not be the helpless victim of our own whimsical emotions or the poisonous emotions of others. Even if we succumb to the enemy, the parasite, we will not be amongst those victims who will not fight back. At best, being a warrior gives us an opportunity to transcend the dream of the planet and to change our personal dream to a dream that we call heaven. Just like hell, heaven is a place that exists within our mind. It is a place of joy, a place where we are happy, a place where we are free to love and to be who we really are. We can reach heaven while we are alive. We don't have to wait until we die. God is always present, and the kingdom of heaven is everywhere. But first, we need to have the eyes and the ears to see and hear the truth. We need to be free of the parasite. The parasite can be compared to a monster with 1,000 heads. Every head of the parasite is one of the fears that we have. If we want to be free, we have to destroy the parasite. One solution is to attack the parasite head to head, which means we face each of our fears one by one. This is a slow process, but it works. Every time we face one of the fears, we are a little more free. That's why you really have to face like any of the stuff that eats at you. Like, it's literally a parasite. Like, whether it is childhood traumas, like, I have so much respect for like people who literally confront the people that have hurt them, because at the end of the day, you are loving yourself enough to be willing to confront what has been giving you problems, what has been giving you issues, what's been eating at you, you know? This is a slow process, but it works. Every time we face one of the fears, we are a little more free. That's true. That reminds me when I was a kid. I was a kid and I used to be scared of heights. So I said skip it. I'm like, yo, I'm about to get on this fucking roller coaster. I'm like, I want to have fun, yo. I'm gonna get on this roller coaster. I got on that roller coaster. My ass passed out. But I got on that roller coaster and shoot, I haven't stopped since. You feel me? Just enjoy life. Like, face your fears. A second approach is to stop feeding the parasite. If we don't give the parasite any food, we kill the parasite by starvation. To do this, we have to gain control of our emotions. We have to refrain from fueling the emotions that come from fear. This is easy to say, but it is very difficult to do. It is difficult because the judge and the victim control our mind. A third solution is called the initiation of the dead. The initiation of the dead is found in many traditions and esoteric schools around the world. We find it in Egypt, India, Greece, and the Americas. This is a symbolic death which kills the parasite without harming our physical body. When we die, symbolically, the parasite has to die. This is faster than the first two solutions, but it's even more difficult to do. We need a great deal of courage to face the angel of death. We need to be very strong. Let's take a closer look at each of these solutions. Get it down, get it down. I'm telling you, like, this right here, this book is definitely like a living, breathing shadow work. Like, facts. Because in order to really live out these 4 agreements, oh, better believe you gonna face them demons. You gonna face them demons. Facts. And I know a lot of people don't want to, admit, but we all got them. You feel me? But you gonna face them if you choose to, live your life, based on these agreements and those alike. The art of transformation, the dream of the second attention. We have learned that the dream you are living now is the result of the outside dream, hooking your attention and feeding you all your beliefs. The process of the process of domestication can be called the dream of the first attention because it was how your attention was used for the first time to create the first dream of your life. One way to change your beliefs is to focus your attention on all those agreements and beliefs and change the agreements with yourself. In doing this, you are using your attention for the second time, thus creating the dream of the second attention, or the new dream. The difference is that you are no longer innocent. When you were a child, this was not true. You didn't have a choice, but you are no longer a child. Now it's up to you to choose what to believe and what not to believe. You can choose to believe in anything, and that includes believing in yourself. The first step is to become aware of the fog that is in your mind. You must become aware that you are dreaming all the time. Only with awareness do you have the possibility of transforming your dream. If you have the awareness that your whole drama of your life is the result of what you believe, and what you believe is not real, then you can begin to change it. However, to really change your beliefs, you need to focus your attention on what it is and what you want to change. You have to know which agreements you want to change before you can change them. So the next step is to develop awareness of all the self-limiting, fear-based beliefs that make you unhappy. So the next step is to develop awareness of all the self-limiting, fear-based beliefs that make you unhappy. You take an inventory of all that you believe, all your agreements, and through this process, you begin the transformation. Shadow work. The Toltecs called this the art of transformation, and it's a whole mastery. You achieve the mastery of transformation by changing the fear-based agreements that make you suffer and reprogramming your own mind in your own way. One of the ways to do this is to explore and adopt alternative beliefs such as the 4 agreements. The decision to adopt the 4 agreements is a declaration of war to regain your freedom for the parasite. The 4 agreements offer the possibility of ending the emotional pain, which can open the door for you to enjoy your life and begin a new dream. It's up to you to explore the possibilities of your dream if you are interested. The 4 agreements were created to assist you in the art of transformation, to help you break the limiting agreements, gain more personal power, and become stronger. The stronger you get, the more agreements you can break until the moment comes when you make it to the core of all those agreements. Going to the core of all those agreements is what I call going into the desert. When you go into the desert, you meet your demons face to face. After coming out of the desert, all those demons become angels. Sound familiar? Like, facts. It's so crazy, like, when you go back and, like, understand certain things, like, the story of who people call Jesus, like it's like mastering yourself, like, and coming to Christ consciousness, like, you are a God. And that's it. You are a God. Going to the core of those agreements is what I call going into the desert. When you go into the desert, you meet your demons face to face. After coming out of the desert, all those demons become angels. Practicing the 4 new agreements is a big act of power. Breaking the spell of black magic in your mind requires great personal power. Every time you break an agreement, you gain extra power. You start by breaking agreements that are very small and require less power. As those smaller agreements are broken, your personal power will increase until you reach a point where you can finally face the big demons in your mind. For example, the little girl who was told not to sing is now 20 years old and she still does not sing. One way she can overcome the belief that her voice is ugly is to say, okay, I will try to sing, even if I do sing badly. Then she can pretend that someone is clapping and telling her, oh, that was beautiful. This may break the agreement a teeny tiny bit, but it will still be there. However, now she has a little more power and courage to try again and again until she finally breaks the agreement. There's one way out of the dream of hell. But for every agreement you break that makes you suffer, you will need to replace it with a new agreement that makes you happy. This will keep the old agreement from coming back. If you occupy the same space with the new agreement, then the old agreement is gone forever, and in its place is a new agreement. There are many strong beliefs in the mind that can make this process look hopeless. The way you are living now is a result of many years of domestication. You cannot expect to break the domestication in one day. Breaking agreements is very difficult because we put the power of the word, which is the power of our will, into every agreement we have made. We need the same amount of power to change an agreement. We cannot change an agreement with less power than we use to make the agreement. And almost all of our personal power is invested in keeping the agreements we have with ourselves. That's because our agreements are actually like a strong addiction. We are addicted to being the way we are. We are addicted to anger, jealousy, and self-pity. We are addicted to the beliefs that tell us, I'm not good enough, I'm not intelligent enough, why even try? Other people will do it because they are better than me. All of these old agreements, which rule our dream of life, are the result of repeating them over and over again. That's true. That's like sugar. They say sugar is more addicting than cocaine. Like, you're going to keep eating it. You're going to see the benefits in the side effects of your body when you keep eating it. But it's an addiction, like, facts. It's unfortunate. People are addicted to hurting themselves. That's wild. All of these old agreements which rule our dream of life are the result of repeating them over and over again. Therefore, to adopt the 4 agreements, you need to put repetition in action. Practicing the new agreements in your life is how your best becomes better. Repetition makes the master. The discipline of the warrior, controlling your own behavior. Imagine that you awake early one morning, overflowing with enthusiasm for the day. You feel good. You are happy and you have plenty of energy to face the day. Then at breakfast, you have a big fight with your spouse and a flood of emotion comes out. You get mad, and in the emotion of anger, you spend a lot of personal power. After the fight, you feel drained, and you just want to go and cry. In fact, you feel so tired that you go to your room, collapse, and try to recover. You spend the day wrapped up in your emotions. You have no energy to keep going. You just want to walk away from everything. Every day we awake, Every day we awake with a certain amount of mental, emotional, and physical energy that we spend throughout the day. If we allow our emotions to deplete our energy, we have no energy to change our lives or to give to others. So, the way you see the world will depend upon the emotions you are feeling. When you are angry, everything around you is wrong. Nothing is right. You blame everything, including the weather. Excuse me. Yo. I'm sorry, y'all, but this is the funniest in the world. Because we all, like, just seeing somebody mad. It reminds me of somebody mad. They mad. And then they mad. They mad. They walking. They step on a piece of paper. They mad at the paper. And then they keep on walking. There's something else happened. They mad at that. It's raining today. You mad at the rain? Yo, I'm telling you. Sometimes laughing is sometimes overlooked. Like, it's okay to laugh at stuff. Like, everything ain't so serious. Everything ain't so serious. You know, take a chill pill. Just breathe. Breathe. You blame everything, including the weather. Whether it's raining or the sun or the sun is shining, nothing pleases you. I'm sorry. When you are sad, everything around you is sad and makes you cry. You see the trees and you feel sad. You see the rain and everything looks so sad. Perhaps you feel vulnerable and you have a need to protect yourself because you don't know in what moment someone will attack you. You do not trust anything or anyone around you. This is because you see the world with the eyes of fear. Imagine that the human mind is the same as your skin. You can touch healthy skin and it feels wonderful. Your skin is made for the perception and the sensation of touch is wonderful. Now imagine you have an injury and the skin gets cut and infected. If you touch the infected skin, it is going to hurt, so you try to cover and protect the skin. You will not enjoy being touched because it hurts. Now imagine that all humans have this skin disease. Nobody can touch each other because it is going to hurt. Everyone has wounds in their skin, so the infection is seen as normal. The pain is also considered normal. We believe we are supposed to be that way. Can you imagine how we would behave with each other if all the humans in the world had the skin disease? Of course, we would hardly ever hug each other because it would be too painful. So we would need to create a lot of distance between us. The human mind is exactly like this description of infected skin. Every human has an emotional body completely covered with infected wounds. Each wound is infected with emotional poison, the poison of all the emotions that make us suffer, such as hate, anger, envy, and sadness. An action of injustice opens a wound in the mind, and we react with emotional poison because of the concepts and beliefs we have about injustice and what is fair. The mind is so wounded and full of poison by the process of domestication that everyone describes the wounded mind as normal. This is considered normal, but I can tell you it is not normal. We have a dysfunctional dream of the planet, and humans are mentally sick with a disease called fear. The symptoms of the disease are all the emotions that make humans suffer: anger, hate, sadness, envy, and betrayal. When the fear is too great, the reasoning mind begins to fail, and we call this mental illness. Psychotic behavior occurs when the mind is so frightened and the wound so painful that it seems better to break contact with the outside world. If we can see our state of mind as a disease, we find there is a cure. We don't have to suffer any longer. First, we need the truth to open First, we need the truth to open the emotional wounds, take the poison out, and heal the wounds completely. How do we do this? We must forgive those we feel have wronged us. Not because they deserve to be forgiven, but because we love ourselves so much we don't want to keep paying for the injustice. Forgiveness is the only way to heal. We can choose to forgive because we feel compassion for ourselves. We can let go of the resentment and declare, that's enough. I will no longer be the big judge that goes against myself. I will no longer beat myself up and abuse myself. I will no longer be the victim. First, we need to forgive our parents, our brothers, our sisters, our friends, and God. Once you forgive God, you can finally forgive yourself. Once you forgive yourself, the self-rejection in your mind is over. Self-acceptance begins, and the self-love will grow so strong that you will finally accept yourself just the way you are. That's the beginning of the free human. Forgiveness is the key. I'm telling you, that is... I definitely just mentioned that. Definitely. You will know you have forgiven someone when you see them and you no longer have an emotional reaction. You will hear the name of the person and you will have no emotional reaction. When someone can touch what used to be a wound and it no longer hurts you, then you know you have truly forgiven. True. That's very much true. As I said, I don't know, sometimes people think I'm what's the word? One, I'm not easily triggered. So sometimes when I don't have a reaction, some people be like looking at me sideways or like, why she ain't let that affect her? you know? Um, but just coming to a level of, like you said, forgiveness and knowing a lot of the times when people do certain things, like that's some projection. All that projecting, that doesn't mean they have some stuff they need to work on. That's why you don't take anything personally. Because it really don't have nothing to do with you. Like he said in the book, like in the last video, people think me, everything all about me, and think a lot of what other people do is like to get at them or to hurt them or whatever it might be. And it's like, no, I just got this going on today. I'm just a little tired. It could be anything. But it's definitely true. Forgiveness is very important. Forgiveness is the key. You will know you have forgiven someone when you see them and you no longer have an emotional reaction. You hear the name of the person and you will have no emotional reaction. When someone can touch what used to be a wound and it no longer hurts you, then you know you have truly forgiven. The truth is like a scalpel. The truth is painful because it opens all of the wounds which are covered by lies so that we can be healed. These lies are what we call the denial system. It's a good thing we have the denial system because it allows us to cover our wounds and still function. But once we no longer have any wounds or any poison, we don't need to lie anymore. We don't need the denial system because a healthy mind, like healthy skin, can be touched without hurting. It's pleasurable for the mind to be touched when it is clean. The problem with most people is that they lose control of their emotions. It is the emotions that control the behavior of the human and not the human who controls the emotions. When we lose control, we say things that we don't want to say and do things that we don't want to do. That is why it is so important to be impeccable with our word and to become a spiritual warrior. We must learn to control the emotions so we have enough personal power to change our base agreements, escape from hell, and create our own personal heaven. How are we to become a warrior? There are certain characteristics of a warrior that are nearly the same around the world. The warrior has awareness. That's very important. We are aware that we are at war, and the war in our minds require discipline. Discipline. Discipline is, oh my God, discipline. Discipline. Not the discipline of a soldier, but the discipline of a warrior. Not the discipline from the outside to tell us what to do and what not to do, but the discipline to be ourselves, no matter what. The warrior has control, not control over another. That just tripped me out. Not control over another human, but control over one's own emotions. Control over one's own self. It is when we lose control that we repress the emotions, not when we are in control. The big difference between a warrior and a victim is that the victim represses and the warrior refrains. Yo. So true, man. Because it's like suppression and refraining. Like sometimes it's like you refrain. I'm refraining from doing that, just because it's like it's protecting yourself. It's having that discipline to know what you tolerate and what you won't. It is what it is. Not the discipline from the outside to tell us what to do and what not to do, but the discipline to be ourselves no matter what. The warrior has control, not control over another human, but control over one's own emotions, control over one's own self. It is when we lose control that we repress the emotions, not when we are in control. The big difference between a warrior and a victim is that the victim represses and the warrior refrains. Victims repress because they are afraid to show the emotions, afraid to say what they want to say. To refrain is not the same thing as repression. To refrain is to hold the emotions and to express them in the right moment, not before, not later. That is why warriors are impeccable. They have complete control over their own emotions and therefore over their own behavior. The initiation of the dead, embracing the angel of death. The final way to attain personal freedom is to prepare ourselves for the initiation of the dead, to take death itself as our teacher. What the angel of death can teach us is how to be truly alive. We become aware that we can die at any moment. We have just the present to be alive. The truth is that we don't know if we're going to die tomorrow. Who knows? We have the idea that we have many years in the future, but do we? If we go to the hospital and the doctors tell us that we have 1 week to live, what are you going to do? As we have said before, we have two choices. One is to suffer because we are going to die and to tell everyone, poor me, I'm going to die. I'm sorry. And to tell everyone, poor me, I'm going to die. And really create a huge drama. The other choice is to use every moment to be happy, to do what we really enjoy doing. If we only have 1 week to live, let's enjoy life. Let's be alive. We can say, I'm going to be myself. No longer am I going to run my life trying to please other people. No longer am I going to be afraid of what they think about me. What do I care what others think if I am going to die in 1 week? I'm going to be myself. The angel of death can teach us to live every day as if it is the last day of our lives and as if there may be no tomorrow. We can begin each day by saying, I am awake. I see the sun. I'm going to give my gratitude to the sun and to everything and everyone because I'm still alive. One more day to be myself. That is the way I see life. That is what the angel of death taught me, to be completely open, to know that there is nothing to be afraid of. And of course, I treat the people I love with love because this may be the last day that I can tell them how much I love you. I don't know if I'm going to see you again, so I don't want to fight with you. What if I had a big fight with you and I told you all those emotional poisons and that emotional poisons that I have against you and you die tomorrow? Oops. Oh my God. The judge will get me so bad and I will feel guilty for everything that I told you. I will even feel guilty for not telling you how much I love you. The love that makes me happy is the love that I can share with you. Why do I need to deny that I love you? It is not important if you love me back. I may die tomorrow or you may die tomorrow. What makes me happy now is to let you know how much I love you. That's true. That's why it's important to do everything in love, to be honest. Like, love can be an ass whooping, but love can also be like a hug, a beautiful embrace. You feel me? But if you're doing everything out of love, then you won't live with regrets at all. Sometimes you have to do things out of love for yourself. And that's really what this book really is teaching, self-love. Like, you have to be able to love yourself. Wow. You have to be able to love yourself to know what you put up with and what you won't. Like, and that's just shit, all it is, to be honest. Having a self-love, man, mastery of self-love. That's a beautiful thing. that is a beautiful thing. But definitely, I feel like if you living out of love, there's no way you will have regrets at all. Because at the end of the day, I did what I did because I loved you. I said what I said because I loved you. The actions I take is because I love myself. You know, shoot, the things that I say, what I partake in, what I choose to do with my life is literally to spread love to myself and to others. Like, love is literally all it is, man. I'm telling you. You can live your life this way. By doing so, you prepare yourself for the initiation of death. What is going to happen in the initiation of death is that the old dream that you have in your mind is going to die forever. Yes, you are going to have memories of the parasite, of the judge, the victim, and what you used to believe, but the parasite will be dead. This is what is going to die in the initiation of death, the parasite. It is not easy to go for the initiation of death because the judge and the victim will fight with everything they have. They don't want to die, and we feel we are the ones who are going to die, and we are afraid of this death. Facts. When we live in the dream of the planet, it is as if we are dead. Whoever survives the initiation of the dead receives the most wonderful gift, the resurrection. To receive the resurrection is to arise from the dead and to be alive and to be ourselves again. The resurrection is to be like a child, to be wild, and to be free with a difference. The difference is that we have freedom with wisdom instead of innocence. That's true. The difference is that we have freedom with wisdom instead of innocence. So it's a different kind of freedom, like with that little baby who is innocent versus an old person who is free because they are wise. That, man, life, man. The difference is that we have freedom with wisdom instead of innocence. We are able to break our domestication, become free, and heal our mind. We surrender to the angel of death, knowing that the parasite will die and we will still be alive with a healthy mind and perfect reason. When we are free to use our own mind and run our own life, then we are free to use our own mind and run our own life. Excuse me. This is what, in the Toltec way, the angel of death teaches us. The angel of death comes to us and says, "You see, everything that exists here is mine. It is not yours. Your house, your spouse, your children, your car, your money, your career. Everything is mine, and I can take it away when I want to, but for now, you can use it." If we surrender to the angel of death, we will be happy forever and ever. Why? Because the angel of death takes the past away in order to make it possible for life to continue. For example, for every moment that is past, the angel of death keeps taking the part that is dead, and we keep living in the present. The parasite wants us to carry the past with us, and that makes it so heavy to be alive. When we try to live in the past, how can we enjoy the present? When we dream of the future, why must we carry the burden of the past? When are we going to live in the present? That is what the angel of death teaches us to do. Chapter 7, The New Dream, Heaven on Earth. I want you to forget everything you have learned in your whole life. This is the beginning of a new understanding, a new dream. The dream you are living is your creation. It is your perception of reality that you can change at any time. You have the power to create hell, and you have the power to create heaven. Why not dream a different dream? Why not use your mind, your imagination, your emotions to dream heaven? Just use your imagination and a tremendous thing will happen. Imagine that you have the ability to see the world with different eyes, whenever you choose. Each time you open your eyes, you see the world around you in a different way. Close your eyes now, and then open them and look outside. What you will see is love coming out of the trees, love coming out of the sky, love coming out of the light. You will perceive love from everything around you. This is a state of bliss. You perceive love directly from everything, including yourself and other humans. Even when humans are sad or angry, behind those feelings, you can see that they are also sending love. Using your imagination and your new eyes of perception, I want you to see yourself living a new life, a new dream, a life where you don't need to justify your existence and you are free to be who you really are. Imagine that you have permission to be happy and to really enjoy your life. Your life is free of conflict with yourself and with others. Imagine living your life without fear of expressing your dreams. You know what you want, what you don't want, and when you want it. You are free to change your life the way you really want to. You are not afraid to ask for what you need, to say yes or no to anything or anyone. Imagine living your life without the fear of being judged by others. You no longer rule your behavior according to what others may think about you. You are no longer responsible for anyone's opinion. You have no need to control anyone, and no one controls you either. Imagine living your life without judging others. You can easily forgive others and let go of any judgments that you have. You don't have the need to be right, and you don't need to make anyone else wrong. You respect yourself and anyone and everyone else, and they respect you in return. You respect yourself and everyone else, and they respect you in return. Imagine living your imagine living without the fear of loving and not being loved. You are no longer afraid to be rejected, and you don't have the need to be accepted. You can say, I love you, with no shame or justification. You can walk in the world with your heart completely open and not be afraid of being hurt. Imagine living your life without being afraid to take a risk and to explore life. You are not afraid to lose anything. You're not afraid to be alive in the world, and you are not afraid to die. Imagine that you love yourself just the way you are. You love your body just the way it is, and you love your emotions just the way they are. You know you are perfect just the way you are. The reason I ask you to imagine these things is because they are all entirely possible. You can live in the state of grace, the state of bliss, the dream of heaven, but in order to experience this dream, you must first understand what it is. Only love has the ability to put you in that state of bliss. Being in bliss is like being in love. Being in love is like being in bliss. You're floating in the clouds. You're perceiving love wherever you go. It is entirely possible to live this way all the time. It is possible because others have done it and they are no different from you. They live in bliss because they have changed their agreements and are dreaming a different dream. Once you feel that's some Shark Boy and Lava Girl shit. For real. Once you feel what it means to live in a state of bliss, you will love it. You will know that heaven on earth is true, is truth, that heaven truly exists. Once you know that heaven exists, once you know that it is possible to stay there, it's up to you to make the effort to do it. 2,000 years ago, Jesus told us about the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of love, but hardly anyone was ready to hear this. They said, "What are you talking about? My heart is empty. I don't feel the love that you are talking about. I don't feel the peace that you have." You don't have to do this. Just imagine that his message of love is possible, and you will find that it is yours. The world is very beautiful and very wonderful. Life can be very easy when love is aware of your life. You can be loving all the time. This is your choice. You may not have a reason to love, but you can love because to love makes you so happy. Love in action only produces happiness. Love will give you inner peace. It will change your perception of everything. You can see everything with the eyes of love. You can be aware that there is love all around you. When you live this way, there is no longer a fog in your mind. The Matote has gone on a permanent vacation. This is what humans have been seeking for centuries. For thousands of years, we have been searching for happiness. Happiness is a lost paradise. Humans have worked so hard to reach this point, and this is part of the evolution of the mind. This is the future of humanity. The way of life is possible, and it's in your hands. Moses called it the promised land. Buddha called it nirvana. Jesus called it heaven, and the Toltecs call it a new dream. Unfortunately, your identity is mixed with the dream of the planet. All of your beliefs and agreements are there in the fog. You feel the presence of the parasite and believe it is you. This makes it difficult to let go, to release the parasite and create the space to experience love. You're attached to the judge, attached to the victim. Suffering makes you feel safe because you know it so well. But there is really no reason to suffer. The only reason you suffer is because you choose to suffer. If you look at your life, and you will find many excuses to suffer, but a good reason to suffer you will not find. The same is true for happiness. The only reason you are happy is because you choose to be happy. Happiness is a choice, and so is suffering. Maybe we cannot accept from the destiny of the human, but we have a choice to suffer our destiny or to enjoy our destiny. To suffer or to love and be happy. To live in hell or to live in heaven. My choice is to live in heaven. What is yours? Beautiful. All right, and these are the prayers. Please take a moment to close your eyes, open your heart, and feel all the love that comes from your heart. I want you to join with my words in your mind and in your heart to feel a very strong connection of love. Together, we are going to do a very special prayer to experience a communion with our Creator. Focus your attention on your lungs, as if only your lungs exist. Feel the pleasure when your lungs expand to fulfill the biggest need of the human body, to breathe. Take a deep breath and feel the air as it fills your lungs. Feel how the air is nothing but love. Notice the connection between the air and the lungs and connection of love. Expand your lungs with air until your body has a need to expel that air, and then exhale and feel the pleasure again. Because when we fulfill any need of the human body, it gives us pleasure. To breathe gives us much pleasure. Just to breathe is enough for us to always be happy, to enjoy life. Just to be alive is enough. Feel the pleasure to be alive, the pleasure of feeling the love. Prayer for freedom. Today, Creator of the universe, we ask that you come to us and share with us a strong communion of love. We know that your real name is love, that to have a communion with you means to share the same vibration, the same frequency that you are, because you are the only thing that exists in the universe. Today, help us to be like you are, to love life, to be love. Help us to love the way you love, with no conditions, no expectations, no obligations, without any judgment. Help us to love and accept ourselves without any judgment, because when we judge ourselves, we find ourselves guilty and we need to be punished. Help us to love everything you create unconditionally, especially other human beings, especially those who live around us, and all our relatives and people whom we try so hard to love. Because when we reject them, we reject ourselves. And when we reject ourselves, we reject you. Help us to love others just the way they are with no conditions. Help us to accept them the way they are without judgment. Because if we judge them, we find them guilty. We blame them, and we have the need to punish them. Today, clean our hearts of any emotional poison that we have. Free our minds from any judgments so that we can live in complete peace and complete love. Today is a very special day. Today we open our hearts to love again so that we can tell each other, I love you, without any fear and really mean it. Today we offer ourselves to you. Come to us. Use our voices, use our eyes, use our hands, and use our hearts to share ourselves in a communion of love with everyone. Today, Creator, help us to be just like you are. Thank you for everything that we receive this day, especially for the freedom to be who we really are. Amen. Prayer for love. We are going to share a beautiful dream together, a dream that we will love to have all the time. In this dream, you are in the middle of a beautiful, warm, sunny day. You hear the birds, the wind, and the little river. You walk towards the river. At the edge of the river is an old man in meditation, and you see that out of his head comes a beautiful light of different colors. You try not to bother him, but he notices your presence and opens his eyes. He has the kind of eyes that are full of love and a big smile. You ask him how he is able to radiate all that beautiful light. You ask him if he can teach you to do what he is doing. He replies that many, many years ago, he asked the same question of his teacher. The old man begins to tell you his story. My teacher opened his chest and took out his heart, and he took a beautiful flame from his heart. Then he opened my chest and opened my heart, and he put that little flame inside it. He put my heart back in my chest, and as soon as my heart was inside of me, I felt intense love because the flame he put in my heart was his own love. That flame grew in my heart and became a big, big fire, a fire that doesn't burn, but purifies everything that it touches. And that fire touched, excuse me, And that fire touched each one of my cells of my body, and the cells of my body loved me back. I became one with my body, but my love grew even more. That fire, that fire touched every emotion of my mind, and all the emotions transformed into a strong and intense love. And I loved myself completely and unconditionally. But the fire kept burning, and I had the need to share my love. I decided to put a little piece of my love in every tree, and the trees loved me back. And I became one with the trees, but my love did not stop. It grew more. I put a piece of love in every flower, in the grass, in the earth, and they loved me back, and we became one. And my love grew more and more to love every animal in the world. They responded to my love, and they loved me back, and we became one. But my love kept growing and growing. I put a piece of love in every crystal, in every stone in the ground, in the dirt, in the metals, and they loved me back, and I became one with the earth. And then I decided to put my love in the water, in the ocean, in the rivers, in the rain, in the snow, and they loved me back, and we became one. And still my love grew more and more. I decided to give my love to the air, to the wind. I felt a strong communion with the earth, with the wind and the oceans, with nature, and my love grew and grew. I turned my head to the sky, to the sun, to the stars, and put a little piece of my love in every star, in the moon, in the sun, and they loved me back. And I became one with the moon and the sun and the stars, and my love kept growing and growing. And I put a little piece of my love in every human, and I became one with the whole of humanity. Wherever I go, whomever I meet, I see myself in their eyes, because I am a part of everything, because I love. And then the old man opens his own chest, takes out his heart with that beautiful flame inside, and he puts that flame in your heart. And now that love is growing inside of you, now you are one with the wind, with the water, with the stars, and with all of nature, with all animals, and with all humans. You feel the heat and the light emanating from the flame in your own heart. Out of your head shines a beautiful light of different colors. You are radiant with the glow of love, and you pray. Thank you, creator of the universe, for the gift of life you have given me. Thank you for giving me everything that I have truly needed. Thank you for the opportunity to experience this beautiful body and this wonderful mind. Thank you for living inside me with all of your love, with a pure and boundless spirit, with your warm and radiant light. Thank you for using my words, for using my eyes, for using my heart to share your love wherever I go. I love you just the way you are, and because I am your creation, I love myself just the way I am. Help me to keep the love and the peace in my heart, and to make love a new way of life, that I may live in the rest of my life. That I live in love the rest of my life. Amen. Ashe, that was beautiful. Help me to keep the love and the peace in my heart, and to make that love a new way of life, that I may live in love the rest of my life. Whew, that is beautiful. And that sums up the 4 agreements, y'all. I can't lie to you, this all right, hope y'all can still, still tuned in. But yeah, he definitely shared some wisdom. I'm gonna get out of here. I hope y'all enjoyed the reading of the 4 agreements. This is a really beautiful book. He calls it a practical guide to personal freedom, a Toltec wisdom book, the 4 agreements, and that is nothing but truth. I recommend this book to anyone who can read. It's a beautiful book, and I feel like it really fit in really well with Manifestation Monday, because this right here is a jump start to really manifesting. It's a jump start to really working on yourself, doing your shadow work, and just being the best that you can be, every day. It's needed for everyone, in my opinion. I feel like no matter the reader, you gonna learn something from this book. I really appreciate this man, Don Miguel Ruiz, and he does have some other books as well. Let me see. I see the 4 Agreements Companion book, the 4 Agreements Illustrated Edition, the Circle of Fire, the Voice of Knowledge, the Mastery of Love. He has some wisdom cards, the 5th Agreement, the 4 Agreements Toltec Wisdom Collection, The 4 Agreements for a Better Life. That's an online course. So you have a lot of information out there. I see he has a website, the4agreements.com. I'm actually check that out. I'll include that. But yes, beautiful, beautiful. Let me see. I'm actually read the back. It's a little piece here that you could read. It says Don Miguel Ruiz was born into a family of healers and raised in rural Mexico by a curandera, which is a healer, which was his mother, and a Nagal shaman grandfather. The family anticipated that Miguel would embrace their centuries old legacy of healing and teaching and carry forward the esoteric Toltec knowledge. Instead, distracted by modern life, Miguel chose to attend medical school and became a surgeon. A near-death experience changed his life. Late one night in the early 1970s, he awoke suddenly, having fallen asleep at the wheel of his car. At that instant, the car careened into a wall of concrete. Don Miguel remembers that he was not in his physical body as he watched himself pull his two friends to safety. Stunned by this experience, he began an intensive practice of self-inquiry. He devoted himself to the mastery of the ancient ancestral wisdom, studying earnestly with his mother and completing an apprenticeship with a powerful shaman in the Mexican desert. His grandfather, who had since passed on, continued to teach him in his dreams. In the tradition of the Toltec, a Nagal guides an individual to personal freedom. Don Miguel Ruiz, a Nagal from the Eagle Knight lineage, has dedicated his life to sharing the wisdom of the ancient Toltec. Definitely cool dude. Like, I definitely appreciate this book. The 4 Agreements. It says here that the book is $12.95, so it's definitely worth the money. Definitely check them out. The4agreements.com. Don Miguel Ruiz. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Yeah, I'm gonna see y'all next week. Manifestation Monday at 7 o'clock here on YouTube. Yeah. Peace, love, and light. Let me get up out of here.